All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tuned In with Jim Cummings. Today, we are joined by the voice of Minnie Mouse, Caitlin Robrock. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Yes, indeed. I can't believe that this is Disney royalty.
Sure is.
Truly Disney royalty. You're the first lady of Disney.
Well, you're one to talk.
Sort of.
You're like
Well,
a
I'm one to talk.
legend.
Oh, well, no, not really. No, that's somebody else. But meanwhile, I digress. It's I mean, you are part of the DNA. You are a keeper of the flame. You're an acolyte. You're moving the whole franchise, the whole world forward for whole new generations. That's got to be great.
I'm certainly aware of like the scope of how
Yeah.
big that was, and it's paying it forward from what I had growing up as well, because I can count back all the way to the 80s. Who were those voices of your childhood? Who were those formative people? Who made you laugh? Who made you want to make other people laugh? That's what it's all about. Our job is to entertain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if we're doing it right.
True.
How are we doing so far? We get pretty entertained? Okay, good. They said yes. Well, that's so cool. Now, is Mickey ever going to propose?
He's never not said he wouldn't not propose.
Oh.
So that's good.
That's good.
That's positive.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
He's never
Yeah.
almost not remembered to say
Yes.
no.
Glove size is tricky for rings. So, but
That's true. That's
you know,
true. Yeah,
that's
you don't really have a
paper.
ring finger, do you? They're all
They're
sort
all
of,
yeah. There's 4 of them.
yeah.
But I have 5 at least.
Yeah.
Who knows where it goes?
Oh, that's so true. Well, true love never dies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you a big fan of Disney growing up?
Oh yeah. We grew up in an animation household. My uncle was an artist and he taught at an art school, and my dad loved the art of animation. So they were both so in that world. So we grew up raised on Looney Tunes, the Disney shorts, Hanna-Barbera, the Saturday morning cartoons. Even like I remember we would even watch like those top 10 band cartoons because my uncle had a copy of it somehow. But they were very specific about like, this is why these cartoons are not on TV. This is the problem with it.
Yes.
This is why it seems funny.
I think I had that.
Yeah.
It was a VHS.
Yeah,
I had
they did
one.
make something
Yeah.
like that before, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. You're the first person I ever heard of that remembers that or brought it up. I mean, that was so cool. I can't even remember any of them that were banned or why.
They were mostly the racism or
Was that-
bigotry
yeah.
reactions or making fun of them for being that race. And a lot of them were in wartime cartoons
Yeah.
or Great Recession time. Just
So
kind
would
of that
they be like
response.
propaganda?
Not necessarily. They did, like Looney Tunes did, I believe Warner Brothers made propaganda cartoons with Private Snafu. And then Disney
Right.
made wartime educational videos
That's right.
or supportive videos.
Donald Duck was up there screwing around and in
the-
biplanes.
Animation is a great medium to deliver a message, whatever that message may be. So it's just what did the times bring you back then? How you'll be drawn in by the animation, and then you'll learn about why our side's better, their side's not, or
Yeah.
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 So when you were watching those cartoons as a kid, did you do the voices? Did you know you wanted to do the voices?
I would just mimic them or goof around.
Yeah.
Just to kind of make Dad laugh or recreate those funny little lines. And to this day, my parents still quote things from the 90s
really?
or 80s. So
Oh,
I'll
that's
tell
great.
them like, Katie, are you coming down for a visit this week? And like, oh, no, I'm hanging out with my friend Jordan. And then Mom will go, who is this Jordan? Do we know his parents? And from a Pinky and the Brain episode, 35 years ago or 30 years ago.
Oh, that's funny.
One of their so they just keep quoting that. Or I could go on and on, but just
Right,
there's
right.
always a little something, and you're always kind of hoping like, who's gonna know that reference? Who's gonna know that
Right.
joke? No one? Okay, I'm weird.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, I wrote it then. In that case, it's all me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and this is the stuff I got, detention after school for doing, or making fun of the bullies who were making fun of me. I would just mimic them and like, teacher, Katie's
Yeah.
making this voice. Well, she said this. Well, you shouldn't have responded that way. You're both in detention. So.
Okay, but I had the better joke. Are you sure I should?
Yeah, mine was
That's
witty.
right.
Theirs was just dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Shouldn't I be graded on quality?
That's right. You would think.
Yeah.
I went to Catholic school, and nuns couldn't have cared less. That you were both in trouble.
Yeah.
Because Okay, well, even though, well, okay, he hit you with a spitball. Well, that's what you get for having that big fat head. Wait a minute, that can't be right.
Yeah.
I don't think they said that very often, but I'm sure I heard it.
Yeah.
So I'm quoting one of those nuns. Oh God, I have to say, I was thinking the other day because Pete, my guy, is always in any given Mickey project somewhere.
Yep.
He's got to be, he's got to be the bad guy. Somebody you need friction.
Yeah.
And we can't have an actual, Doctor Doom guy, but Pete will do the trick. So as a result, all of the iterations, I should have looked it up, but there was, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Mickey Mouse Funhouse, House of Mouse, a lot of houses going on with this particular mouse. And now we're moving on with more Mickey Mouse
Clubhouse Plus.
I knew there was a
2.0.
2.0, yeah. So it's like the never-ending story, and I'm really glad. I'm really glad that it never ends.
Well, and Pete is one of those characters that he has the full range of what he can do. Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Donald Daisy, like to a point there is that kind of limit, or like, oh, well, they really wouldn't act this way. It's just not their nature. But Pete is a character who, like, every nature counts for him just depending on the situation. There's so much freedom in that. And I would say Goofy too, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But, Pete and Goofy, there's your team up right there, Laurel and Hardy. So, yeah, I agree. Well, that's one of the things I love about doing Pete. He's an everyman. He can go out there and he can start a fight. He can end it. He can cry if he wants to because it's Christmas and, things like that. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. And I have to ask you, how long have you been Minnie?
It's September, right? So about 3 weeks ago, this Thursday was my 5th anniversary.
Fifth anniversary.
Wow.
Well, congratulations.
And for that first year, I thought I was still like on a trial period.
Oh.
And I had to ask, like, am I still in the trial period? And the Funhouse, I believe, if not Funhouse, it was Mixed Up Adventures. But they're like, no, we're fine. I was like, okay, I remember they were mentioning this. Maybe it's for the other series. And they're like, this one, The Wonderful World? No, they signed off on you when you did a Texan accent on Minnie's voice.
Oh.
Like, I wouldn't have minded knowing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, God forbid they pass that little tidbit along.
Yeah, but I had a feeling like I don't think anyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
No.
Pretty. I'm 40% sure.
That's pretty
I got
good.
the job.
Yeah, I think you do.
To me, that's one of the most impressive feats of voice acting is being able to do like a voice within a voice, if that makes sense. Like how you said, doing an accent in Minnie's voice. And oh gosh, I'm gonna get lambasted, but the actor who played Bugs Bunny.
Which
Mel
one?
Blanc.
Mel Blanc.
Okay.
Sure.
Mel Blanc. There was this great story about Mel Blanc doing Bugs Bunny impersonating Elmer Fudd, and then Elmer Fudd impersonating Bugs Bunny. And I just thought that's like just such a wild talent to impersonate yourself. How do you impersonate yourself as another character, or do a character voice in an accent? Is that something that's natural? Do you practice it? How does that come about?
Definitely practice, because how Caitlin would do an accent, whatever way I do it, that's the natural way for me to do it.
Sure.
But I always have to make sure, well, where does those words and accents sit in a higher register when she's already got such a specific way of saying vowels and consonants, or her squeaks and her creaks into the vowels, like those little minute things.
Oh, wow.
Because or she had a lot of nasality for certain consonants. It's just all those tiny little things that I tried to focus on. So now you kind of got to forget all of that, because would they do that in Texas or Florida or Minnesota? Let me practice before I go in the booth so I kind of have an idea of what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the toughest you've had so far?
The toughest, anything that's kind of real low and guttery, it's a challenge. I make sure to never do it when it's painful, but let's make that the end of the day. Where I'm not sure if Pete's been in an episode with Cosmo Cockroach, who's just this little villain guy, and he sits there.
Oh,
and so we had like 2 episodes, and I asked, could we do this one at the end?
Yes.
Just because he's gonna want to make me
He's
get
a little
milk.
grind.
He's a little grind. And then I think the last episode for our show, he'll be singing something. And that was
Oh,
like,
boy.
this is different. And that one we took extra time with because the song was written right at my break.
Right.
And
I know
those are
that
always
break.
so hard. And like, I'm trying to belt or be an alto, but it's just not holding. But if I do it as a soprano, it's not strong enough. So that's always the tricky one. So I always say, like, I'm the key of C, if that helps anybody.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
I'm
Well,
sure
it's
it
good to know
does.
your key.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure that does help.
Very much so. But all of our composers are just great on the shows because
Yeah.
easy melodies to remember, but fun songs. And I'll catch myself singing it
Yeah.
randomly later.
Yeah.
Come inside, it's fun inside. Yeah. Yeah, all those things. Boy, oh boy. What an incredible, legacy to tie into.
Thank you.
It's really just so beautiful. I got to believe that, like we were saying before, worldwide, there's instantaneous recognition. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced anything out of the country yet?
Yes, I have. Two things. I went to Disneyland Paris. We did some filming out there and just kind of seeing how that culture, that world experiences Disney. And it's very similar, but also very different. Just different ways of reacting, different vibes. Beautiful park.
Yes.
But they like their rides rough. And so by the end of the day, I was very like, I think I have to stop. And I'm a thrill seeker, but like their Indiana Jones ride, like bang, 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 bang.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
right, yeah.
oh man, I gotta
I
go.
remember that. That was
Yeah.
painful.
Very
But your head's
painful.
going back and forth like a gong and a bell.
And then their Space Mountain, it was very fun. I was like, why is it so dark? I had my sunglasses on. I didn't realize that. And at the very end, we
that didn't
came to such a sharp stop. My head did the thing, and I remember like, oh, this is going to be
Little
bad
whiplash.
in 4 hours. Yeah.
Ooh.
So still so much fun. And then I'll meet people at conventions, and I always tell them like, you can always talk to me. It's okay. I know it took a lot to get here. Sometimes they just want to say thank you or impress upon us. When you did this, I felt so good. I felt so happy. I wanted you to know that. And like, I see that as a success. And then
Oh, yes.
a few people have like written to me on Instagram and I always acknowledge them. I have to remember to look at the, unknown messages. I tend to forget, but I always respond. If I can or can't, I will always respond. That way I've acknowledged it. But I've done one like, hey, my brother's going through cancer right now. He loves these cartoons. Do you think you could pass on an encouraging message? Of course. And a lovely young lady said, my best friend's getting married in Japan, and they adore Disney, and she loves Minnie. Her bridal dress had like little accents towards it.
yeah.
So I did a little congratulation message, and I had asked her, like, is there a traditional Japanese saying? It's like, live long and prosper, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, yeah, this is very common. And she wrote it out in Romaji, which is English letters for their words so we can read it.
Right.
And so then I read it in Japanese as Minnie to pass on to
That's
her.
really cool.
That's great.
And she filmed the reaction for me because I was really excited. Like, I kind of want to know. And it was a video montage of her friend experiencing Disney for her. She was having fun. And then my picture popped up and Minnie started talking. And you see her going like, who's this? Like, it took her a minute. And I was like, oh, it was so odd. But then when I said her name and then said the congratulations in
she's
Japanese,
talking to me.
that's when she was like, what? Like,
She must have wigged out.
she did.
I
And
mean,
her,
there's
and her
no
new husband,
doubt.
too, was like,
Wait, did you just hear Minnie Mouse say, wow.
and I tried to be as perfectly accented as I could. I watched a bunch of anime in college, so
Oh, that's
so
funny.
I tried to learn the dialect at least. So if I ever had to speak Japanese, I would do it correctly.
Yeah. What
It's
was
yet
your
to happen.
What was your favorite anime?
Escaflowne.
Okay. Okay.
Love Escaflowne. Everyone should see it.
Oh.
I love it so much. And of course, Sailor Moon.
Escaflowne.
Yeah.
But-
Sailor Moon.
Escobar, probably a different one.
Yeah.
Pablo.
Anime
different,
Pablo
completely.
Escobar.
Different, yeah.
Complete
Different.
with large eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real special treat. Because that's on
No
the list
kidding.
one day to get out to Japan.
Yeah.
So one
Oh,
day,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God, they'd love you. I think they love Pooh there, too.
they adore Pooh.
Yeah, yeah.
They love the cuddly characters. Like
Yeah.
Clarice was in one cartoon in the old days, Chippendale's aforementioned sweetheart. She was in one cartoon, but there's the character meets you there. There's merchandise.
Yeah.
Like they adore her. They adore
You're
Thumper's
kidding.
girlfriend from Bambi, the yellow bunny.
Oh.
Miss Bunny. She's got a character there. She's got merch. They just love the cuddly stuff.
Isn't that something?
I think it's adorable.
It is.
Me too.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now I want to go.
Yeah. Let's find a
We could do a
plane and
convention
hide
over
in
there
the
somewhere,
compartment. Ooh, yeah.
right?
That's the way to do it. That way
Gotta
they know
be.
we're there and like come talk to us.
That's right. And anybody who's thinking of inviting both of us, well, we're there,
my
right? You'll
God.
be there. Okay. Oh, that's good. Well, next podcast we'll do it from Tokyo Disney
Yeah.
or not.
Maybe like just outside the park entrance
Right.
by the
right.
street side trash cans. We're coming to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
live from near Tokyo Disneyland.
Near Tokyo Disney. Yes, indeed. How cool is that?
All right. So you were growing up, you were doing the voices, you were watching animation, your whole family was all into that. You worked at Disney, correct?
Yes. 20 years at
20
Disneyland.
years. 20 years. What got you into that?
Everyone in college was going there. So it's like, oh, we're all going to work at Disneyland. And I got hired. It took me a few tries because I couldn't give them the availability they needed. But I hired in, and then within a year, not only was my whole hire group like they had left or quit or got fired, but everyone else in the school had left. So I was like, oh, well, I'll stay. Why not? And
Yeah.
it did give me a lot of good lessons in how to interact with people of various temperaments, various ages, and it really taught us the Disney way, like what's branding like, what's integrity like,
Yeah.
what is our service to our guests who come to see us.
Now, at the time when you were working at Disney, were you still auditioning? Were you going out for things as well, or was that just a different
That
mindset?
hadn't happened yet.
No.
Like, because I hired in November of 03, and I was still in college and just kind of juggling things and learning voiceover and getting involved in the community. It took me a lot longer than anyone else, just because I had to make sure I had the time, the money, and am I learning and internalizing what I'm being taught. So I took Bob Bergen's class twice. I took Richard Horvitz's class twice. Like I would take classes and workshops frequently to just constantly remember, what are they teaching me? Remember that so you'll reflect it when auditions would come.
Right.
And I had met Bill Farmer through a friend who did my first demo, and I had booked a show on Adult Swim on my own. So he kind of helped present me to my agent, Sandy Schnarr at AVO. And I'm still with them today.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Yeah, they're lovely.
I was with Sandy for a good long time.
Yeah.
She's
I
a
love
great
her.
gal. She's wonderful. Tell her I said hello.
I will. I shall.
Little inside baseball, I think is. I think that's what that was. But that's great. Well, you had a really circuitous route, but yet you were. I think it's so interesting that you were still, as they say, working for the mouse.
Yeah. Before lockdown, I juggled both jobs because like there's no need to leave yet. It's not public knowledge, so there's no issues.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun. Like I do something very fancy. No one around here knows. But I would practice the voice. Like around 2005 is when I kind of figured out like, hey, I can kind of get to that point just by luck. Some of it's luck, and then most of it is your training and your
working.
dedication
Yeah,
to
sure.
make the most out of what you have. I just was very lucky that my placement was where it was.
Right.
And I never take that for granted.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point because people will say, and only people in our profession or actors in general will say, well, where's that coming from? Is that going to be like is it down there? Or is it in the mask? Is it up here? And I've had people. Mark Hamill. Not to be a big name dropper here, but
He's cool.
He's a cool guy. And the first time I met him a million years ago, it was he goes, "Oh, Jim, wow, it's great to meet you. So give me some Darkwing." What? Give me some Darkwing. Darkwing Duck? He goes, "Yeah. Well, I am the terror." Okay, so that's in the mask. Interesting. I knew it was. I know. What about Pooh? What? And
Yeah.
And so, well, I suppose he goes, "Oh, so that's wow.
Yeah.
Where is that? That's not in your chest, is it? That's right about here." And I go, "Yeah, I guess." I never even freaking thought of
Yeah.
it. And he's having me go down the line. And I finally told him, I said, "Look, I don't think you understand. You're not getting to meet me. I'm getting to meet you." So
How did this
we
turn?
we have to forget about me. You're the Joker. He was for Batman.
Yeah.
And so anyway, just one of those, it reminded me of what you were outlining there. It's not an exact science, but then it is.
Yeah. If you love something that much, you'll learn every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then even going back and watching older things, like you can see it through a new lens. Because one of my favorite things, I'm sure it's one of everyone's favorite things, is when Mel Blanc would just scream in those cartoons. You never hear that anymore. But if I recall correctly, back then they were recorded in those large sound stages.
Yeah,
So
and
you
you could
had
hear
to
it.
scream to get it across, and then they treat it and everything.
Yeah.
But and now we're just in little tiny booths
Yeah.
with microphones that'll explode if you pop your pee.
That's right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfectly correct.
It's perfectly correct.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But I love that he like studies that nuance too, because his voiceover career is very good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Legendary.
Mel Blanc, Mark Hamill,
Mark Hamill.
just
Oh
kind
yeah.
of like
Oh yeah.
learning all those aspects about
Oh
yourself.
yeah, yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true.
Mark Hamill's Joker. I mean, that's
No one
That's
ever heard
really
anything
good.
like that before,
Yeah.
and no one expected it to come out of Luke.
Luke.
right.
Well, and then
I know.
when I put two and two together and realized Paul Williams was the Penguin, like, of course that's his voice,
Yeah.
and he was so good at it. Like you wouldn't know that was them. Ron Perlman was Clayface.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't know that because they were hired for the talent, not the name. The name was just an amazing coinky dink of like I
Yeah.
didn't know they could do that. Like they're an actor.
Yeah.
Hire for the talent, not the name.
Thank you. And we've talked about this a few times on this podcast, and it feels like that's kind of going away a little bit. Sadly, it seems like they keep going for these big A-list stars to be,
Yeah.
Chris Pratt and Jack Black, and it's not like they're not talented, but I mean, the
But there's a lot of other people.
their specialty, their niche doesn't quite feel there. It's
Yeah.
Well, and then like your movies are one thing, and then if they make TV shows of those movies, that's when we come in.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before, have you ever had to match a character's voice before Minnie?
Yes, I did a few ADR looping matches.
Oh yeah.
Very very small things, just because you just kind of need something to do a line or two. I don't know,
right.
but like I've voiced matched Melissa McCarthy, Sarah Silverman, Scarlett Johansson, but it's been for small things. I don't think I would be able to do a huge project and be as believable. Whereas in this moment, it just happened to work.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't done that in a little while. But it's good homework. Like listen to the ladies around you, see how close you can get, or something that evokes it.
Yeah.
And then learn the men too and do impressions because there's a new character right there.
Yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it isn't, like they'll know who you're doing an impression of by how you speak and the nuance, just a different sounding voice.
Yeah. When you record, do you feel the physicality of a character? Do you really get like in your body or not so much?
Not so much, just because all the times I've been recording, be it sessions or auditions, we're in very small enclosed spaces, and if I'm not paying attention to hands, like I might knock the mic or hit something and make a sound. So it has been very internal, but there's been definitely times like, how do I want to deliver this? I better start moving and let the voice follow the movement without going completely off mic.
Yeah.
That itself is a skill, I think.
Yeah. A bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to do. I used to do that when I first started because I always stood. Then I realized, all right, everybody else in the room is sitting down. I might as well sit. And then it centers you a bit and it keeps you from, you're doing this physical character like Taz was ridiculous. And I was all over the place. Oh, yeah, that's right. The microphone. Sorry. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
You got to learn body language to do voiceover.
And like
Who'da
what
thunk it?
works best for you. Most people I know sit.
Yeah.
But they know exactly how they're sitting is how their body's arranged. If I'm sitting, I'm kind of squishing my diaphragm a bit, so I may not have as much energy or enough air to not go like you'll hear creaks and cracks, and we'll hear it even if no one else will, and it
Yeah.
drives me insane.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, let me just go back real quick.
Yeah.
Like we didn't hear anything. Oh, it's there. I know
Yeah.
it's there.
Well, someone will. Someone in Youngstown, Ohio is going, hey, did you hear that?
Well, I've watched works that have come out on TV or online and like, oh, they used that take? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can go back and fix it. Or
Yeah.
at some of my early stuff with Minnie, we were still kind of finding the path for each genre of animation or work we were doing. And when I listen back to that old stuff, I'm like, oh, yeah, I see now where that wasn't exactly in alignment. So It just that, and then cultivating it and crafting it and polishing it, and then where she sits now feels the most natural and the most approachable.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely aware, like, kids 5 and under, I am their Minnie now.
Oh, you are,
So,
yes.
and Rusi is too, if they watch original Clubhouse
Sure.
or all of those wonderful projects prior. But if there's like an updated consistency or any pop culture tie-in, I want to make sure I'm giving them my absolute best. Just like I received the best growing up myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's a good philosophy.
You want to be someone who, you want to be the outlier to don't meet your heroes. You want to be the one that, like, I met them, they were wonderful.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be famous or well known if you didn't have fans. So treat those fans well
Oh, I agree.
and be grateful they love you as much as you should love them.
Absolutely. And speaking of fans, shameless plug, we are above 90,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe.
How about that?
You
What
looked
he
and I
said.
was like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, wait.
The lady on the wall?
He's got his own camera.
You got your own camera?
Oh, it's good. It's perfect.
Okay.
See, there he is now.
Okay.
How would you say, since getting the part of Minnie Mouse, your life has changed?
It was very odd. I don't know what life would have been like prior to COVID and lockdown because that just changed everything. So I recorded from home and there wasn't any FOMO because nobody went anywhere. Nothing like existed. So a lot of friends were like, I'm so sad Comic-Con's not happening. Yeah, but it's not happening for anybody. We've just paused the movie. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it this year. It'll come back.
It felt very Twilight Zone-y
Yeah,
to me.
just like we were in suspended animation.
Yeah.
Like, where do we go from here? What will be the process? How long until it takes to get back to normal? Will it ever
Yeah.
be normal? And
Yeah.
I try to remember, like, from 2019 and before, what did we have that we don't have now? Or what do we have now that we didn't then?
McDonald's breakfast all day.
Yeah, 24-hour stores, they kind of went away.
Yeah,
but even
24-hour
then,
Walmart.
what did we have 2002 to 2020 that we did or didn't have before 9/11? It's just those same
Right.
like elements of what changed things
Yeah.
on a global scale that will affect your everyday life in some way. And we've had a handful of those, at least in my generation, where it's like, I don't remember the past as well.
You know what? That's really funny you say that because I catch myself sometimes standing in line at a store and I try to remember how close we stood to each other before COVID.
Yeah.
Because I swear the spacing, like social distancing, has just
Yeah.
kind of changed. I'm like,
Even
did
without
we
the little
used to be-
stickers on the floor.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, did we used to be like right up against each other? I can't remember.
Well, and wearing masks
Kinda.
when
Yeah.
you were sick was a common courtesy in Japan.
You're right.
So that way you could still do what you need to do without getting anyone else sick. Or vice versa. If it's like, hey, everyone's catching something, I'll wear a mask to not catch it. That's very common out there, and I always loved that.
Yeah.
But pre-COVID, like you were just kind of looked at weird for wearing a mask.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the little things like I don't want to blow out birthday candles and get my breath and spit on the cake.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Yeah, I
weird
never
things
thought
to
about
think
that
about.
before.
Seriously.
Yeah, and just
Or
little things.
how much
Yeah.
you touch your face.
How much you touch your face?
How much you touch your face?
phone?
Yeah, I
God, I
always
never thought of
remember
that.
just like
Who's
always
taking their
like,
phone into the
"Ugh,
bathroom?"
touching, or you use your wrist to touch a button, but then you now are rubbing your eye with your wrist, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that kind of beats.
It's just
the,
little
beats
things.
the point.
Well, and we certainly wash our hands after using the restroom at Disneyland, but oftentimes it would be, if not hand sanitizer, maybe a quick wipe. But because of working there for so long, I had so many bacteria and viruses in microscopic doses because someone's sick at any given point of the day.
Oh, yeah.
But if you just kind of, if I walked by someone who maybe coughed, but a little floaty bug gets in there, like you can kill it off and learn about it, and it won't affect you, but it just built a stronger immune system.
Yeah.
So that was certainly helpful.
So, what was your role at Disneyland?
I would go out with the characters to help you visit them and take pictures and autographs.
cool.
So if Goofy comes out in Town Square, he'll
gosh.
stand over here by this tree. Like, if you'd like to meet him, please line up over here, fair and square, no grabbing, no yanking.
That's right. Yes. No. Yeah. Well, no. Okay. Now you know I have to ask.
Yeah.
Did you ever escort her?
All the time.
Look at that.
All the time.
That's so cool.
And some
How
of my
cool is
coworkers
that?
would laugh like, "Of course you're going," and it's like, well, it's actually because it has the best break in the schedule. Like, because at that point it's like, I'll take multiple breaks a day. I helped out character friends in the past, so my knee is not quite the same. My neck is not quite the same.
No.
And there was a beautiful Christmas season where Clara Cluck and I were just best buddies. The big old chicken from
Clara
the old days.
Cluck. Oh, yes.
And now I voice her. So when
that's great.
because Clara was so sweet to me, but I fell down a ramp helping her. And I was like, I think we're done helping the character friends. Thanks, Clara. And then it kind of came back around like, oh, well, I still am Clara now, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
And the more opera, she's an opera singer, and I took a semester of opera in college.
No way.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. Yeah.
6 weeks. Really fancy.
Do you have a musical background?
Yes.
Now,
My mom was a singer and a music teacher, and
Oh, yeah.
there was music playing all the time.
Yeah.
Piano. You had a piano in the house.
We had a piano, and it kind of played often, but like my dad invested in like the really fancy stereo systems, and they would play all kinds of music. And they knew like we loved 80s music. So on Saturday mornings, they would play music to kind of wake us up gently because the alarm clocks are jarring for school.
Hungry like the wolf
Yeah.
woke you up.
Or Eddie Money or
Oh, yeah.
but so I love the 80s in particular, and it just kind of was like there's always something. Or Karen Carpenter Christmas played right after we finished Thanksgiving dinner. We'd put the CD on, and it's like we're gently easing into Christmas.
Yes.
So there was always something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that because I feel like, I mean, Jim has musical background as well, and a lot of voice actors seem to, that at least that we've talked to so far on this podcast. And I think it must help, like hearing, you know, different tones, being able to mimic different voices because you have that knowledge of, you know, like a
Yeah, and some actors you want to mimic or do an impersonation of, they'll have a melodious tone about them, or they'll do little ticks that hit like, oh, she loves people going, hello, like, oh, every day she comes in, hello, well, what's the notes? If she's a singy-songy type, what are the notes she jumps on?
Yeah.
Or if she's warming up, what are the... It can only help. But I do advocate where there were singing doubles. So like if the actor really couldn't sing or wasn't able to, you have a singing voice match.
Jim knows about that.
And it's lovely if you can do both your own speaking and singing. Everyone enjoys that. But if the actor is so good, they just don't have that singing ability, hire them for the acting and then hire a professional singer who can voice match it. That way it's a nice marriage. Neither one loses out.
And hire you or me
Yeah.
is basically what you're saying. And I agree.
But I like it that way. You're getting the best of both aims, the acting portion and the singing portion. It's two different languages.
Oh, very much
Like
so.
what you're hearing and acknowledging, and then now you're hearing and you're feeling. That's the entire point of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I've always maintained that people who start off as singers end up doing really well in voiceover.
Yeah.
Because they're familiar with the darn thing right off the bat. And I of all people, I think Nicolas Cage kind of pointed this out, but then I kind of took it away in my head. But if you stop and think about the way people express certain emotions, like Bing Crosby is a good example, because he would say to Jerry Lewis, well, I guess that just depends on how you look at the whole thing there, old buddy. What that was and that was music. And if you think of it that way, you're getting across two things. You know, you're getting across the feeling of it because it's sort of a jaunty, a jovial thing, and it conveys and it strengthens the words. You know, because the words are about this, that, and the other thing, and the music matches that. Like, you know, nobody would say, "Happy birthday," you know, ba 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 ba.
Happy birthday to
Yeah. It's just
I don't think they're happy.
no, it's not. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you get that marriage is what's up.
I think stage theater acting is the strongest acting you can learn that would transition to voiceover.
I agree.
Interesting.
Because
I
the very
agree.
last row in that mezzanine, or triple mezzanine at the Segerstrom, you know, where it's like, well, I think she's wearing a red dress, but it's like they're just kind of blurry
Yeah.
in the distance. And they have to project and act with their voice to hit that back row
Yeah.
and sing with it. Like, yeah, we can see you're blocking. We might miss out on the facial expressions, but it's just so many different ways to act. And it's different from TV and film.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of your face serves as the the storyboard, or it takes the whole thing into the scope. But voice acting, just radio plays, audiobooks, you got to hear it right there, and everything else is just enhanced icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was, I remember when I first started off, one of the things you had to learn was since they can't see you lifting something really heavy, they can't see you pushing something really heavy, they can't see you falling, and hopefully you're not falling, but it's got to be all in the voice.
Yeah.
And I remember I did this crazy thing called the California Raisins, and we had a guest star on it, and the line was something like it was leading him in. He goes, "Well, I don't know. I guess that depends on how you look at it. What do you think?" And the guy went, and all that sounded like was, it's just, you can't do it. You have to get it in the voice.
Yeah.
That you can, no matter how many gyrations, and he was a great actor. He was a great character actor. I'm not going to say his name, but he just stunk in voiceover. It's like, oh wow, that doesn't translate, does it? Go back to being rich and famous. There, get out of here.
Or if you really want to do this, treat yourself as a beginner and learn from the ground up.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves the chance to try. I can't say everyone could be a voice actor, but they can come from anywhere. And if the passion's there, it'll lead you somewhere where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always knew I was going to do this. So, like I said, for long, I was 5.
I was.
So.
When did Beauty and the Beast come out? 91?
I want to say 91.
Yeah, so I was.
That sounds about right.
I think I was like 7.5 or maybe 8, and I saw Hook. And it's like that's like the defining movie of childhood. And then the year after, or 2 years, year after was Aladdin. And so there it is, Robin Williams. He's the one in both.
Yeah.
He's the one who gets to play and imagine, and he's an adult. I can do that too, but how do I do that? Then it just took as long as it needed to find where can I start walking down that path.
Interesting.
And I always say be safe than sorry. So I waited a long time to do demos or just like find the archetypes you're best at. Make sure they're the front and center. Know your natural voice, which is still hard today. Just speak naturally. Like, what is naturally?
Yeah. What?
Or if you're kind of a weirdo character in real life, which I think I am, like I'm sure it's like, oh yeah, it fits everything else, but like it may not translate. Like, what is this? An Adult Swim show or Disney Junior or Nickelodeon? Where does the pattern fit?
Yeah.
And then anything I'm weaker in, or it's like, I've never really done that. On my own time, I'll practice it, study it, so I can present it to my agents. Like, I'd like to read for these projects or these character types. Here's kind of what I've been practicing on. That way I'm working for them just as much as they're working for me.
Yeah.
Because I've seen many roles go by and like, I didn't read for that. They didn't know I could do.
Right.
A little old lady or a witch, or they didn't know I could do those things. And like, I got to tell them what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That had a good June Foray quality to it.
June. I love June and B. Benaderet. Come
Oh,
into
yes.
my house, children. I'll give you candy and pineapple upside down cake and all day raspberry suckers. Let's go eat the goodies, the goodies. Oh, B was my favorite.
Oh, yeah. And she, oh gosh, I can picture her in my head. What was her big role?
She
was on camera.
Yes, she was. She popped into I Love Lucy a few times.
Yes. That's where I saw her.
Yeah, she popped in there a few times. I
That's
think she
what
was
it
the
was.
neighbor.
Yeah.
And she was the first witch Hazel. And she was the first or second granny. I believe she was Mama Bear. And one of my favorite Looney Tune characters is Little Red Riding Hood with the glasses and the bob. I'm going to my grandma! I love that.
Yes, me too.
It's like I'll do that voice to get into an annoying character
Yes.
for an audition. And like, this one's a one-off, right? Or a tertiary, because no one's going to want to hear this multiple times. But I love that so much.
Yeah.
And then June, they were different, but they still had that wonderful quality. So for June, I kind of drop it more like, which? I don't recall seeing her at any of the union meetings. Or,
Yeah.
and just... And what's the one where the spell ricochets and turns her into a beautiful woman? Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the ugliest one of all? And that's how I found, discovered Ava Gabor. Same thing,
yeah.
like, Maria, darling, you must remember, a proper lady does not yell or fight.
That's really good.
Duchess and Miss Bianca.
Oliver.
Bring back those.
What was his name? Oliver?
Bernard and Bianca, Duchess and O'Malley.
Oh, but I meant from Green Acres. Oliver.
Oliver.
I think it was him. Eddie Albert.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Oh,
Look it up at home.
that's right. And send your cards and letters in. Oh, that's good
it's
stuff.
Actually, this person.
do
I'm so sorry.
you get over? Do they send you around on like goodwill missions and nice little junkets to Tokyo Disney or?
I'd love to go there.
Yeah.
I have gone to a couple events as like we'll perform on D23 where we can come and perform our stuff. And I haven't branched out too much, but I know like Brett and Bill have done like autograph signings before because Brett has fine art and
Yes.
Bill is a Disney legend. And it is my solemn swear, like before I keel over, you, Tress, and Corey, you absolutely deserve it, bar none.
Oh, well, that's
I mean,
funny.
we know
I
you're a legend,
agree.
but
No, I'm
get
just
that statue, get that unlimited pass, or
Yes, yeah,
like-
there you go. That'd be good.
but just like the beautiful work of magic is on so many unknown figures, and once they kind of start, well, like I've heard that voice before. Follow it down. Mm-hmm. There's
Yeah.
so much wonderful work out there,
Yeah.
and it speaks for itself.
Well, Corey Burton, he's like his own living legend.
A savant.
He's incredible. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows he'll dig up the same microphone that Captain Hook used.
Wow.
I mean, he'll go that far. He's amazing. He's truly a talented, unbelievable guy.
I met him like 8 years ago, I think.
Oh yeah.
And we met through a mutual friend, and he's a very private person, very quiet person, but we talked for an hour
Yeah.
just about anything that came to mind. Because I was like, I try to be a safe space for anybody, however they feel comfortable with. But we just got to talking, and I couldn't tell you what we said because it was so long ago, but I remember how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And afterwards, he was departing for the day. His driver came, and he's like, "Thank you so much. I feel like we're really kind of kindred spirits here. Have a good rest of the time." And then I go back in, and my friend's like, "I didn't think you were going to talk that long." And like, I have to go cry. Like,
Oh.
this was a big moment for me.
Yeah.
And that meant so much of just like, okay, how I think and feel, it's never wrong. But that passion is still there, and he recognized it. So I'll take that with me forever.
Yeah. He's a great guy. We have to get him on. Did all of the Chippendale Rescue Rangers with him. Mm-hmm. And he was Chip, and he was Zipper. Now, who was
Zipper, the fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I love it. They'll play like, cause they have a different treatment. Like maybe back in the day you spoke very slowly and then they sped it up, and now they just changed the.
Yeah, that's what they did.
So they'll.
They did their lines like this, and and I would sit there and I go, and I would joke around and I go, that sucked. That was Then they play it back, and then they speed it up, and it goes, hey, and it sounds like Chippendale. Turns instantly into Chippendale. It's pretty cool.
And I think that you can talk normally now, and then they'll change it. So they took the filter off of Corey's tracks once, like just one little track, and like, he recorded earlier, listen to this. And they took off the pitch enhancement, and then he just sounded like a drunk. Like, hey, Chipper, I can't wait to do this. And like,
Yeah.
oh, I'd walk across the street away from that guy.
Yeah.
But then you put it on and like, oh, it's like it's so cute and silly.
Yeah.
But originally that's like, oh, you pulled the curtain back.
Yeah.
You know what went into that?
Oof. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it's hard to look at. It's somebody said something. Well, you don't want to see how cartoons are made. I mean,
Yeah, I do.
I like sausage, and I don't want to know how they make it. So making cartoons and making sausage, obviously
Similar but different.
Similar, same thing, only different. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
So just to give some context, how far are we through this next season? Do you know? Because I never know anything. So I'm asking a personal question here, folks.
Because I know we wrapped the first season,
Yeah.
and it's getting ready to premiere most likely next year. But we've certainly been, and I believe they did announce that it had a second season coming. It's a good question. I think
Okay,
maybe
good. So it's
of
not
the
just
way.
me that's not being recorded right now. Good, just checking.
No, and the way they've structured it this year, I really enjoy because it brings back a lot of other people. Pete, Clarabelle,
Yes.
I think Horsecollar even, and I'm very
Yeah.
fond of Mortimer. It's Maurice LaMarche, and he's just so good at that smarmy.
Oh,
How
right.
you doing? Ha cha cha, and it's like that's.
Is he doing that, or was that Jeff Bennett? I forget.
Jeff did it for the
think
Paul
he did.
Rudish shorts.
Is that
and
what it
I
was?
think he did it for like the direct-to-DVD movies and House of Mouse. So he's definitely done it a few times
Okay.
as well, and he's also quite good at it.
Oh yeah.
And then Maurice did it all the way back towards the 90s, and it's just so fun to hear
Yeah.
archetypes that's not normal for them. They're usually so jovial or they're so tough, and now here's this smarmy jerk who does not get a backpack when he goes up the stairs in Mickey's Funhouse. He doesn't get a backpack. He just walks up.
Oh, that bastard. No.
Oh, but it is fun because whenever we see other characters coming in, it's almost like a tick. I'll be like, oh, here's Helper Clarabelle. Oh, how nice. Or,
Yeah.
or like, okay, this one, you meet Pete in the cave, like, oh, hello there, Minnie the Mouse. I'm going to meet you in this here cave, and you can have what you need for a nominal fee. And that was like, Kaylin, do you want to go out to dinner? Yeah, I'll pay for a nominal fee.
Yeah.
That's a new catchphrase.
That's right.
But just anytime they come in, it's just so fun to see that. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping at D23, if like in a couple years, maybe we could do a classic panel where we bring all those like the classic characters in.
Yeah, that'd be really
Mo,
cool.
you, April, who's so fun. I've met her for the first time.
April, she's great.
She's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a good old buddy of mine, and so was her dad, Paul Winchell, the original Tigger.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. Unbelievable. I
And he
remember
was in Gummy Bears too.
he was what?
In Gummy
Oh yeah,
Bears?
yeah, he was Zummy. Yep, he was Zummy Gummy, and I guess I kind of inherited his characters. Yeah, God rest his soul. But yeah, April's a great buddy of mine,
Yeah.
and she's crazy, which is
best
great.
kind.
The best kind of crazy. Yes. Oh my gosh, and Clarabelle, and I'm trying to think. She was the one who sounded like Mr. Haney, only from Green Acres. And she had kind of like the female Mr. Douglas. What was his name? Pat Buttram. Clarabelle is kind of like the female Pat
Female
Buttram.
Pat Buttram. Yeah, I can hear that.
You know, don't you think?
Yeah.
I've always thought that. I always have to find some little, tag to put on the voices and everything, and it helps me drag them up.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any little tricks like that you have to do?
It's usually
Not have to, but
it's usually words of like where I really kind of feel it in the mouth. So for like Minnie, it's usually a goose. Oh, like where she's just, I'm excited now, or
you sound just like her.
Wait, you said a goose?
a goose.
Like,
Wayne and Rusey recorded a lot together. They were very rarely apart.
Yeah.
And ensemble recording is the best recording you can get
I
because it's
agree.
organic, it's fun,
and you can react.
and like I'm sure we won't laugh so much that we've ruined the take. But they would record together, and it has been told to me that every so often her chair would slowly kind of move over, and then she'd just end up in his lap, and they would record.
Yeah.
And if it was like, oh, I can't wait to go to the mall, he would just give her a little goose. And
Yeah.
then, oh, I can't wait to go to the mall.
Yeah,
And then he just had that kind of little smile on his face. And,
yeah,
and it's like, so I just remember, okay, goose yourself.
yeah.
Goose into it. Or for Ava, now, darling, really have the D in there. Oh, gosh. B, come into my house. Like, let it roll. So it's just different words or different clicks to get into that.
Yeah. It's good to have those little.
Or if a character's based off something, I'll try to like do an impression of the actor it was based on and then work my way into, okay, well, what did I do? Oh, I forget. I did something that was basically Charles Nelson Riley.
Oh yes,
And it was fun, but it's like, that's a lot of work. So I have to really pay attention to it.
yeah, and Frank Welker does a pretty good Charles Nelson, and he's used him as a prototype, and that's kind of a helpful thing too, because if I've always maintained if you do a perfect impression of someone famous, that's good, because you never know. You may be able to use it someday. And if you do a terrible impression of somebody famous and you don't know who it is, that's really good.
Yeah.
Because it's a new character, you know. And if you do a perfect impression of somebody nobody knows, that's good.
Yep.
It's a new character.
New to their ears.
New to their ears.
Watch the old movies.
yeah.
Watch the old TV shows. Find those people that are like, what the hell was that? That's
Yeah.
my moneymaker right there.
That's right. That is exactly right. And who was that? That reminded me of Ma Kettle
Ma Kettle.
from the old, I think they were like from the 40s, 30s and 40s, and it was some hillbilly family out there, and they were always making pot liquor.
There's
And,
a couple of those,
and it was-
actually.
Yeah, not Beverly Hillbillies. It was. I'm sure Beverly Hillbillies was kind of based on it. Does that ring any bells? You know what I mean?
Well, the one- the
how
only
you
one-
doing there, fellers out there? And that was the woman.
The one that comes to mind, I don't think this is the same, but Lil Abner. And
Oh.
so in the colorized movie,
Oh, yeah.
Billy Hayes was
Billy Hayes, yes.
Ma was the mother.
She was grandma.
She was grandma, and she was so
Granny.
scrappy and fun and all that good energy.
Yeah.
She's a phenomenal person to
Yeah.
study too.
Yeah, I worked with her a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day, and it was the damnedest thing, because I couldn't stop looking at her, and she was playing one of those gals over there that was just like that, and she was all pissed off all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, that slightly Western cowboy twangy thing that she hillbilly, whatever you want to say, and it was the damnedest thing. I remember thinking, this is the coolest gig in the world. I get to sit next to little Abner's mom, which is ridiculous, but it was pretty cool.
You have that moment of like,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're on the same level. No, we're not going to go that
No,
far.
we're not. Yeah, we're not. Absolutely.
I came in off the street. We're just not going to say anything so they don't notice.
Yeah. I had that with Pat Buttram, too.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Douglas. He was in Roger Rabbit. And I was bullet number
Yes,
2.
the bullets.
Yeah, there were the bullets. Jim Gallant was Walter Brennan. I was Andy Devine. And Pat Buttram was Pat Buttram.
Mm-hmm.
He got to play himself, which is pretty ridiculously cool. They made all the bullets. They fashioned them modeled them after Western sidekicks.
Okay.
You know, Gabby Hayes and Will Mr. Douglas. You know,
Tonto, I think.
yeah, all
Yeah,
the,
Tonto,
Yeah.
for sure.
So anyway, kind of cool stuff.
Yeah. What a great movie, too.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite voice or character to perform?
Yes. But Ava Gabor's one. And then my B Benaderet voice. I've used that before, and it was only one season, but we did like a Thundercats reboot, a wacky cartoon style version, like very similar to Teen Titans Go.
Okay.
I had so much fun on that show, and those were ensembles. So I appeared as like 9 different characters over the course, and my favorite was this little old lady who was like a secret superhero, but one day a month she gets to be on vacation, so she pretends to be this little old lady, and then Snarf. The alien cat from Thundera.
Snarf.
It's his one day off a month. So he was a robot in this reboot. So he turns himself into a regular cat and goes to her. And so, where's Mr. Bottom Dollar? Is it that time of the month already? Oh, that's why I call you Mr. Bottom Dollar. Because I bet my bottom dollar you'll show up, and you always do. And, meow. Oh, that's adorable. And it was just ridiculous old lady stuff. And my friend jokes this because when we do like, okay, give us a few lines to it, like, that's why I call you Mr. Bottom Dollar, because Mr. Ass Dollar won't get by the censors. No. Standards and practices. And just start talking. Take away the filter. Just say whatever comes to mind.
Mr. Ass Dollar.
Whatever I got in trouble in school, like, well, now I make money off of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So-
yeah.
And you never know what'll come out. And if you've gone from A to D, to you it makes sense. But everyone else is like, how'd you get there? Like, well, I had B and C. Of course, we know how you did that.
Sure.
Of
course.
Go for it, you quirky little star.
Yeah.
And
Little star.
you you keep reaching for that rainbow.
Yeah, that's right.
And my first session of that was with Dana Snyder. And he was on Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Venture Brothers. And his natural voice, he's got a wonderful natural voice, but he's just a smart aleck and had no filter either. So it was just such a kick to work with him. And he loves Disney too.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, that seems to be a good hook to meet new people. Who doesn't love Disney?
Yeah, seriously.
And I tell people, like, you want a message for your kid? Get some street cred in there. Why not? and I think, I'm not sure if we were at Tennessee together, but I did a convention, and
I think.
wrestlers are now commonly going
Oh,
to
yes.
conventions.
Yes.
That's kind of new.
Yeah.
And my roommate was like, "Where are you going?" Like, "I'm going to Tennessee, or Indie Pop." Dang it, I can't remember. But he's like, "Wow, who's going to be out there?" And like a lot of people. And he looks through the list, and all of a sudden, Kurt Angle's going to be there. Like, oh yeah, not so out of the way now, is it? Look at this roster. So I made a point of like asking my helper, like, could you see if Kurt Angle has a brief moment where I could duck over and get an autograph, or if he offers video messages, I'd like to buy one for my roommate. And then she comes back and says, yeah, he wants to meet you at this time, and he wants to meet you because his daughters are massive Minnie Mouse fans. So he wants to meet you and get stuff for them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
I did the messages, I signed the
Sure.
pictures, and then he did one for Victor, and
Yeah.
it just worked out. And like you never know who you're going to meet
You
somewhere.
never know. You
do.
never know.
And
so
hopefully
true.
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite voice or character, Jim?
all of them.
Well, of mine,
Like to perform. Like which one's the most fun, enjoyable for you to
Yeah.
perform?
probably, well, King Louis and Tigger
Yeah.
and Darkwing. Yeah, got a few of them. And Hondo was way out front for me, my Star Wars guy. He's way out there. We have to see. We might not be done with Hondo. How's that for it? Was that a tease? I think that was a tease.
That was a hopeful manifestation in the universe.
That too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah,
Well,
I like the
and-
universe part.
Yeah, you never know when something will come back around, and then it really feels like a small world. And nepotism works if you bring to the table what needs to be done.
Yes, it sure does.
Yes, it does.
I've seen some wonderful, like, oh, he's the daughter of this. Well, let's see. He's the daughter.
Yes,
he's the
that
son of these
explains
two
everything.
actors. And like, all right, okay, he's really good.
Yeah.
It's in the genes, like
Yeah,
sometimes. And then sometimes you'll have a kid of a celebrity and like, what happened to you?
right.
You don't want to do nothing,
But
no
your
how?
dad was, but your mom was.
Different from my dad. And like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yes,
Maybe
that's
you're
right.
adopted. Did you ever ask?
Yeah.
You might be adopted.
You're not swimming in the same gene pool.
No.
Ouch, ouch.
But I'm also very fond of Ray,
Oh, good.
because Princess and the Frog is a brilliant movie.
I liked it.
Well,
It was
and
a good
that one-
I'm glad you like it.
And we've had multiple discussions.
Yes.
Because I'm not, like, personally, I'm not too fond of Lion King and Big Hero 6. The story is phenomenal. Music's amazing. Animation,
Yeah.
gorgeous. Excellent voice acting. But I was always someone who was real sensitive to losing a character that you've grown so attached to. Not for no reason, but how realistic could this be? So when Mufasa died, I was very like upset by it because we love that character, and there was the reason for it. But it's like it didn't have to be that way. But then there you don't have a story.
Right.
And then when Tadashi died in Big Hero 6, and you find out he had meant to go save someone, and that person wasn't even in the building. He died for no reason, and he was such a good character. It leads the rest of the story, but I just couldn't get over that hump. And what made Ray different was he was able to talk to them, say goodbye, and everyone realized we all succeeded. And then you clearly see him become
Right.
the star next to
That's-
Evangeline. And like,
that
so
was- that was it.
this is a good closure,
Right.
because I think at the end of the day, people want to say goodbye. And those other two, like, they didn't know. They didn't get that chance.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And even Bambi's mom was tolerable. Like, we didn't see
It was
it.
tolerable.
Well, it was like because we don't see it.
Yeah.
And
but we
I
know
think-
what happened.
And then the father steps in and goes like, she can't be with you anymore, but it's okay because he's there to kind of continue that guidance.
Yeah.
And then Land Before Time is one of the best animated films. I
It
can't
really
watch it.
is. It really is.
It's so sad, which means it's so good because Don Bluth had a way of sticking it to you and making you think. And this is kind of real world elements that kids could understand and use to process. But real life is hard. And I don't necessarily want to be sad watching stuff.
Right.
But when she tries to get up and she can't and falls
Right.
back, and then
Right.
she's like, do you remember how to get there? And it's like, why does he have to remember? You're going. like, because she knows. And it's just so hard to watch such a beautifully done scene.
Yeah.
And I think I remember the reading, they added that scene where Littlefoot's talking to this old dinosaur, grumpy guy, and he's kind of explaining, I'm so upset, I'm mad at my mom for fighting the T-Rex. And then he says, like, I know she's gone, but she's still with you if you remember what she taught you. You know, it was a really beautiful message.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A teaching moment?
A teaching moment, but
I've heard of those.
Don Bluth had a way of putting characters
he's
in
good.
peril that you were like, can we get out of
can we get out
trouble
of this?
now?
Right,
I
right.
don't like Fievel slipping and sliding on that boat.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
like-
that's right. Yeah,
I don't like Littlefoot walking on that volcano.
yeah, that's so true.
Where's the next beat? I'm gonna go get a snack. Anyone want a snack? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and like that's the mark of a brilliant
Mm-hmm.
creator. Like you've gotten me invested
yes,
in a way that it's like I almost can't handle it.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, he does quite well, doesn't he?
yeah, and he
yeah.
teaches animation. He's pretty active on social media. He shows concept art,
Yeah.
stories behind it, and I
Yeah, I've
love
met him a
more
few
Don
times
Bluth.
at the conventions. It's kind of fun. He's great. I mean, and I think people like that. He just has to keep going.
Yeah,
You know, that's what he does. That's who he is.
and he's unlike anyone else.
Yeah.
Like Disney was his own standalone, as we know, but Don Bluth was also a standalone. And I don't think there's a name I can point to for things like at DreamWorks or Nickelodeon.
Right.
They're wonderful companies with projects, but who's kind of spearheading it where you're seeing that commonality?
Yeah.
Whereas Disney had the commonality threads in each era, and then Don Bluth had his. And that's what you kind of latch on to. I'm a big fan of disaster films, so I'll watch anything by Roland Emmerich.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'll watch anything once with M. Night Shyamalan because I keep hoping, like,
Oh,
Me
yeah.
too. Me
this
too.
be the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's coming
agree.
out with that new one next year. Early
Yeah.
next year. Is it?
I think so.
Early next
but,
year?
we're rewatching a TV show called Wayward Pines. Very good. A bit slow pacing in the first episode. It's really setting up a lot of building blocks. I think it would have been good if they had like a 2-episode premiere, because by the end of it, my roommate was like, I don't know, I'm not really catching it. And it's like, you would if I told you what happened. So I tried to give him a couple tidbits without spoiling the big stuff, because when I discovered the big stuff, you want that moment of like, what?
Yeah.
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 And so he's like, okay, the way you explained it, I think I'm willing to give it to continue with it. So it's like, let's watch 2 in a row. That might be a good palette
There you go.
thing. Yeah. Give it a watch. It's a great show.
Okay. What's the name of it?
Wayward Pines.
Wayward Pines.
And it's based on a trilogy book series. And I just finished book 1 because I'd never read them before. And book 1 ends, I want to say where episode 4 is. And it's a 10-episode run. So we're going to go through the books, I believe. I'm not sure if the ending of season 1 will line up with the ending of the book. And then they had a season 2, which was not as strong, in my opinion. So it's like, oh, did you guys kind of go off on your own? And there was no source
Well, it's good to hear about stuff like that because there's so many bland and boring shows out
There's
there.
too much.
Yeah, there's like mostly that.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a good one.
And you need to have like 7 streaming services. I mean, even I'm on a tangent right now, but even the NFL, like just to watch football, you have to have like 3 different streaming services now. That
Yeah.
It's like Thursday night
bounce
football,
around.
Monday night football, Sunday night football.
Monday Night Raw.
They're all on different streaming services. And
Yeah.
we're just back to cable. Like it's just
Basically.
it's cable
Yeah.
again, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
It's cable, but you do have a massive library
Yeah.
where if you get the inkling, it's right there. But it's, in some ways, it's like, yeah, I know it's there, therefore I don't have to watch it right now. And then you kind of just don't.
Yeah.
But if I was,
And then they remove it.
but like when I would go visit my parents, they had cable till recently. So like, well, I'll pop on Comedy Central and like, okay, there's a couple
Yeah.
hours of South Park. What is it going to be? And even if it's an episode I don't really care for, I'm actually going to watch it and play it because it's like, you told me what to do. You
Yeah.
told me I had to watch this one, not any other.
Yeah. It's almost like listening
Mm-hmm.
to music on the radio versus just playing your own, music off your
Yeah.
phone.
You never
At
know
least
what
for
the,
me,
you never know
like,
what's going to happen on the radio.
I tend to listen to the radio a little longer, like songs a little longer, because I'm like, all right, I like this song. I'll get to the next one. When I'm on my phone, I'm just skip. Okay,
Right.
All right, I want this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's similar in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah, it is. And it's like you find yourself going down the same road You know, for me, it's like, okay, I'm done. Okay, one more Springsteen. Okay, all right. You know,
They say
okay,
that's
one
like
more.
why In-N-Out Burger's so successful, because by limiting the choices for a human being, like it can be overwhelming to see
know
like
exactly
20
what you're gonna
different
get.
20 different menu options, you know. It's like,
Right.
okay, A, B, or C. Which one do
Yeah.
you want? A, B, or C?
What's
Let's
the best
keep it
of
simple.
these choices?
Yeah.
You're gonna take it and you're gonna like it.
I like B.
You like B?
I like B. Yeah. What about you, folks? What
I always go with C.
there you go.
I think C is just a plain burger, right? Or a one single patty.
I think
I don't know.
it's a double. I don't
Sure.
know.
Send your cards and letters in, folks. Let's get to
What
the bottom of
In-N-Out
this
burger
mystery.
would you like to see us eat?
So, what is the very next thing that's up for you these days?
The
Shall we
next
talk
thing
about
next
that?
Up, let's see. There's been a couple of fun. A bulk of my work is usually one-offs or tertiaries,
Mm.
and I've done some looping jobs, which I'm very fond of, especially for
Oh,
movies.
Now, what have you looped that we should know about? Or have
It's hard to kind of
have we-
pinpoint where can I find myself in a loop
Yeah,
session.
oh, okay.
My first one was Frozen 2.
Okay.
And I went to the lot on that, and that was actually the day before the first callback for Minnie. So once I had gotten the call and we
wow.
registered the appointment, the rest of the day I was just kind of sitting there.
You were on a roll
in a bit
then.
of a fugue state, and it's like I cannot say to anybody. So I'm stuck with this knowledge and know where to direct it.
Right.
Gosh, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we were all the animal people, and I do a lot of screaming and a lot of kid voices because screaming I can do without harming myself. So,
Oh, good.
And I'm very late to the game with memes and pop culture things. So I have a TikTok, but there's no videos because I don't know how to make a video. But when I do figure it out, I want to be very late to the party and do the video like I'm a voice actor, and then just scream. And then have like 4 or 5 samples of me screaming from different
Yeah.
cartoons, and then I'll do it.
That'd be funny. I need to see that.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Will you promise us that you will do that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I also had an idea for like a joke where like either it's me and myself against each other, or if a friend pops in and like, gosh, I'm sweating so much. Hey, yeah, how hot is it outside? I'll go check. And they'll open the door, you stick your head out, and then you'll hear, I want to say NSYNC is playing True to Your Heart, and which is the
yeah.
Disney song, and then close the door and look, oh, that's right. They look back and go, it's 98 degrees. It was 98 degrees, not NSYNC. That was literally the joke.
That was that. Yeah.
I messed up my own joke. Everyone
it was
forget
not
that.
in sync.
Don't remember that. No.
You sure it wasn't 98
Send me
degrees?
out to the back street, boy.
Yeah, the back door boys, as we used to call them. I thank my brother for that one.
All right, we're running out of time here. Should we do a little voice swap?
Sure.
Do you know of the voice swap game?
No, teach me.
All right.
Yes.
I will explain it to the best of my abilities. I don't know why this is so hard for me to explain. I don't know why. So, Jim, you'll each do a character that you voiced, one of their popular lines. So, say, Jim, Winnie the Pooh, oh bother, and then you'll do that same line in a character voice of your character.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then vice versa.
Got it.
All right. I did it. I did it, everybody. I did
think
it.
That was good. What do you think?
How
Send
long
your
did it
cards
take
and
you to
letters
get
in.
there?
Let's not talk about that. Let's get
There.
Yeah, 30 podcast. No, that's not true. About 40. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, let's see.
What about Shredder? You never do Shredder.
Oh, that's true. All right. Turtle power, schmurtle power. I say turtle soup.
Turtle power, schmurtle power. I say turtle soup.
That's pretty good.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm kind of scared,
Okay. I can see
which
it.
is good. So now you give me one of your characters, and
Ooh. I do
And,
Felicia Sundu on Amphibia. And and she had a fun line that in the audition I improv'd a little, and I kept begging them, keep it in. But it was something like, I couldn't help overhearing, and if you're looking for a place to get a full body massage, I know a wonderful place.
wow. Okay. Who should answer that? Maybe not Pooh. Okay, Pooh.
I couldn't help overhearing that you have an ability to give a full body massage and that it's as sweet as honey. Now, is that true?
Didn't you say something kind of like that?
Very similar, but you elevated it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a normal massage you have oil, and this one you'd have honey.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure, it's good for your skin.
It's a bit of a sticky wicket, whatever that is.
It's true.
Sounds potentially.
No, never mind. They're all going, you know what he was going to say. Yes.
Listen with your heart, not with your ears.
Oh, people are writing that down all over the world as we speak now. Caitlin Robrock, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Did we do our swaps? Yeah, I think we did. That was fairly swappy.
Yeah. Do you want to do one more for for social media?
For social
Sure.
media.
It helps bolster the
Sure.
algorithms.
Let's see. Have you got one for me?
Let's see.
You did a Pete impersonation earlier.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Can you do a Pete and then you say in Pete's voice the same line?
Yeah.
I think that'd
do
be
that.
interesting.
Okay, let me come up with a good Pete line here.
Well, you know, it's like I always tell the goof. Be quiet and quit interrupting me while I'm interrupting you.
Well, it's like I always tell the goof. Be quiet and keep interrupting me while I'm not interrupting you. Peg!
Yes, that was good. That is wonderful.
But I love when it goes, well, hello there, Mickey the Mouse. Mickey
Yeah.
the Mouse.
Well, you know, I've changed it. I've changed the way people, and I'm going to take credit for this, because I've been doing that for years. It's Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's not them. But I would say,
Well, it's like I said to my old pal Mickey the Mouse. Or it's like I says to him, I says, Mickers, look, it's like this.
and he's no longer only just Mickey. He's Mickey the Mouse, or Mickers, or all these different little variations, and they're sneaking into the dialogue.
Goofy and Mickey have called Minnie Min. Like, hey, Min, how you
Yeah.
doing? Like, they've slipped in those little
Yeah.
Yeah, I've called you Min
Min, yeah.
a couple of times.
It's cute.
Little Easter eggs here, folks.
Yeah.
I think that's what those are.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll put them in your stocking. It's going to be great. Thank you so much, my
Thank
dear.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Hooray.
Helen Robrock.
Thank you.
Want to take us home, Chris?
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of Tuned In with Jim Cummings. Today we had Caitlin Robrock joining us. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Please leave a like and subscribe. We are past 90,000 subscribers on YouTube now. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. Honestly, this podcast could not happen without you guys. And if you want some bonus content, don't forget to check us out on Patreon. You can go to the Tuned In with Jim's Coming Patreon page. Thank you for all our patrons who have subscribed, and you'll find bonus content there. You'll find bonus episodes and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So once again, this was Tuned In with Jim Cummings. Thank you for being here as always, and Caitlin Robrock. We'll see you in the next one.
Hey, you.
Yay!